Good afternoon, everybody out there in Mr. Arnold's GLN4O class. Today we are looking at Unit 3, Activity 2, Assignment 3. And these are the self-management skills. So what you're supposed to do with these workplace scenarios is you are supposed to apply specifically some self-management skills to a couple of workplace scenarios. And you have to be very explicit about what you do in that. And one way that you can do that is you can quite simply just first look in the content. So if you look in the content here, you'll see that there are self-management skills and there are some other skills that you can use to work your way through the workplace scenarios. And you need to be very explicit, which means you need to specifically tell me which either self-management skills you used to get through the workplace scenario, or at the bottom here, you can see that there are some more self-management skills such as goal setting, prioritizing, organization, time management, stress management, and avoiding procrastination. So you can see below here that you have the four projects. You need to complete two of these four, and you need to use the self-management skills here to work your way through that. So there's one student in the class who did a very effective job of this already that we had a chat with. You're going to break down each of your scenarios into these categories. So you can make a chart on a Google document with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows and 2 columns. So 6 rows and 2 columns, and you can break each scenario down into those different pieces. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a Google Doc for you, or at least show you a Google Doc. And perhaps this is something that I can include as a template for your planning as well. So if you're going to make yourself a Google Doc, this is what you would do. You would quite simply go into the docs, and I see a lot of people submitting the work, and I see people submitting the work and telling me how they would solve the problems, but they're not being very specific as to which strategies they're using. So in this course, it's all about strategy and the tool that you use to complete that. So I now have my list on a Google document that we can look at. Underneath here, what I can do is I can then go to Insert, Table, and we know that it's going to be 6 rows and 2 columns. Here we go. So in the rows, I have goal setting, prioritizing, organization, time management, stress management. And remember, stress management is not just about you, it's also about your employees that you may be working with, or the folks that you're working with on one of the projects. And finally, avoiding procrastination. All right. Next, you can also use some of the strategies that are under self-management strategies here. So you can use these strategies to help you with things like avoiding procrastination, avoiding stress, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these, and I'm going to also put them on my document that I'm going to submit later, because this way it's a handy study tool. There we go. So we now have the different strategies down here. These are tools that you can use within each strategy, So, for example, If you want to time manage, or if you want to try to manage stress that way, because if you manage your time effectively, you'll probably be able to manage your stress effectively, is you're going to look at something like self-monitoring. Self-monitoring. And self-monitoring quite simply means using something like a timer. So self-monitoring, you could say finish inventory in 20 minutes and then take a break. So this way you're not spending too much time on something and you can move on to something that you would otherwise prioritize. So a lot of people are doing the prioritization and doing the goal setting. You're just not saying when you're doing it. So a much more effective way to do this for Unit 3, Activity 2, Assignment 3 would be to create a chart like this and break your strategies down into a chart that looks like this. Again, what I will do is I will make this into a planner and I will post it for everybody. And remember that as of today, you should be at about Unit 3, Activity 5. So Unit 3, Activity 5 is what you're shooting for. If you have any questions, please send me a message on the pager, and I hope to hear from you all soon.